Hey folks, I'm imaging M63 again tonight, and my guiding is a wreck. I mean, it's been holding pretty steady. I've been getting decent star roundness, as we'll see in a few seconds here, as soon as my latest luminance exposure rolls around. I like showing off the luminance because they usually gives the tightest stars and the best representation of what I am capturing. Ooh, the guiding's actually calming down here. That's good to see. But I've been getting crazy RA spikes, and my declination stiction, I'm running on an AVX, so declination stiction is to be expected, but my backlash, I've been having this periodic cycle of backlash, which is just really bad for the length of an entire bar. It's below this 4 arc second dash. Ooh, there's a bad RA spike right now. Yeah. But, and then as soon as it clears, whoop, it'll jump up to above this 4 arc second mark for an entire bar. About every 10 minutes or so. I haven't seen that in a while, so maybe it's gone away, but hopefully it has. But anyway, right now I'm working, we're at about almost 200 frames of the 300 I'm planning to grab, which equates to around 21 hours, 20 minutes of data that I'm hoping to have by the end of it. Tonight I'll almost finish this object, and then then it'll be tomorrow night. Hopefully, if the weather holds, I'll be able to go out for 45 minutes and just finish off whatever bad frames I need to retake, and whatever frames weren't taken yet. Ooh, the luminance rolled in. Let's look at this. Close that out. Come on, SGP. Oh no, that was just a blue frame. Never mind. Hold on. I'll cut to a luminance frame. Downloading. There it is. As you can see, decent star roundness. Nothing too spectacular. Some decent detail in the galaxy, actually, if I invert. Medium stretch probably is the best. High. You can see that we've got some decent detail there. And the stars look decent round. Ooh, what's going on with my guiding? Ooh, it looks like they've kind of removed themselves a bit, but look at that, the bad RA spikes go away kind of just in time for declination to go all bonkers. Well, that's all I got for you right now. See you in a bit, folks. Alright, so I'm going to be going over my processing of this image, step by step, voicing over. So right now I just loaded the LRGB frames and specified to Star Tools that it's non-linear. So now that I've loaded the LRGB frames, now I'm going to stretch it to see where the stacking artifacts are, all the blemishes in the image, the gradient in the lower left corner, all that. And now I crop that out. Oh, by the way, I should mention that this isn't post-processing Rob talking, this is post-processing Rob talking. I sped up the footage, and you can maybe see down in the lower right, the clock is moving much faster than it should in reality. But I'm just getting my crop just right. I wrote the steps down on my phone, so I'm just copying what I wrote down from earlier today. Or yesterday, I guess. So I'm going into the develop module, which is basically like a histogram in Star Tools, except the histogram is controlled by several things, as we'll see here. Well, then I'm doing wiping the image clean of the sky glow background and cleaning up the gradients. I moved up that dark anomaly filter to prevent some things that weren't quite cleaned up by flats from ruining the image. But now we'll get to see another aspect of the histogram and curves that Star Tools uses, because Star Tools doesn't like the one-and-done approach of histogram and curves and other things, STF auto stretch, whatever. And here we have HDR, we have sharpening, we have contrast, and we have digital development like film development. Here I'm using HDR to reveal the core of the galaxy, bring out that extra little detail that you saw. And so now I'm going into development, which is like film development basically. Playing around. Development 90% is a good starting value. That's what I chose for my process. Now I'm going to go into the probably the most advanced tool that I have in my arsenal, which is I run the isolate preset in the life module. I don't like to use the mask for it because even with the mask fuzz at 40 pixels, it still has hard edges like you saw potentially in my Messier 51. The Whirlpool Galaxy, there were hard edges around the stellar halo, which I didn't like using the mask. So I'm running into HDR. I'm using the equalize preset to kind of brighten it up, to undo the darkening that was done by isolate, and you can kind of see in a few seconds here. There we go. You can see just how much brighter it has become and how much more prominent the galaxy is front and center. So now I'm going into the color module. This is probably the hardest part of any process because I'm colorblind, and having to go in, as you see in the bottom right, and go into the individual color reduction, so I just messed it up without noticing it. I accidentally clicked on the image and that reset the white balance. But I'll notice that as soon as it loads. But because I'm colorblind, I have to kind of look at the image and realize that I don't know what color the galaxy or whatever is. There I am reloading color like an idiot. But I realized that I have to kind of spend more time, straining my eyes, wondering what it is. So that's always fun, but it gives my images a unique flavor in terms of their color. Sometimes for the good, sometimes, like with my NGC891, where I made the entire image completely green. Sometimes bad, but, it's my own unique little flavor. Now that I've just adjusted the colors, you saw I turned it from a mint green monster to something with a nice orange core, blue outsides like you would expect. I'm just running a local contrast adjustment now. Especially, you can see that it ain't doing much, but there we go. I just had to turn it down in the dark anomaly headroom, and there you go. You can kind of see, especially in that dust filament, there's a lot more detail pulled out. Now I'm developing again, this time moving it up to 91%, just to bring out a little bit more, because it did get darkened by contrast. And then in HDR, now I'm trying to do equalize again, just to that little bit of extra brightness is what I'm striving for here. So I'm just doing a very low strength, low dark bright response, just a tiny little bit of a nudge in the brighter direction. And you'll see that this still does make quite a difference for the appearance of the image. And then you can see in that darker stuff, this darker companion down there, it's definitely helping bring it out quite a lot. So I'm going to do run local contrast yet again. And as you can see, it really brings out that darker nebulosity a little bit, and it's a very small adjustment, but it's a quality of life thing that I quite enjoy. And now I'm turning tracking off, which, if you don't know, Star Tools has a feature where it tracks the processing steps you made, and then it figures out what's noise and what's detail. So it has detail-aware noise reduction, and so by turning tracking off, I enter the final noise reduction phase of my imaging. So I just set the grain size to 12 pixels to eliminate some of the grain in the background, and then, actually I'm going to show you here what my biggest problem was with this image. Those pixels right there, right next to the center. This is 800%, so each pixel of the image is a 64 square pixel on your screen region. At least if you're in full screen, that is. And you can see smoothing at 75%. It cleans up the background a little bit and some of the core, but those pixels still remain and they are untouched. So I had to end up 90%, which, as you can see, kind of makes some of the brighter detail in the galaxy get lost. But it does die down and make the core a lot better, so I had to sacrifice that, unfortunately. But I was able to recover some of that detail, mostly primarily with this first sharpening step, a large-scale sharpening. And I just left it on default settings, 100% aggression, 75% small detail bias, and I just let it sharpen. You can kind of see that it really, as I'm showing here, it makes the image kind of pop, especially in those outer stars and around the fainter companion to the right of it, to the right of the galaxy. Now I'm running a contrast adjustment just to kind of further enhance the dark dust lane in the front, kind of make it prettier, make the background look less wonky. Now, because we did lose some core detail in 90% smoothing, I'm trying to bring some of that back with a decently aggressive reveal DSO core. As you can see, we brought some of that back, and then now I'm going into the color module, and I'm just doubling the saturation, because I realized that the saturation was a bit dry. It took me a while to realize it, but I did. And I feel like that just makes the image look a bit more vibrant. Messes up the stars a little bit, as you just saw. Gives them these nice ugly halos around them. But, you know, no image is going to be perfect. They all have their flaws. So now I'm sharpening again, but this time with a star mask, because I don't want to damage the stars anymore by sharpening those halos. So I'm just creating a mask that covers the stars, inverting it, and then growing the holes in the mask. So I'm doing a small detail sharpening. Just very minor adjustment, but it is an improvement nonetheless. And then my final little adjustment here, just some more local contrast, 50% aggression, nothing too major, just a last little seasoning to the image. And then we are left with our final image. Okay, so here I am with our final image. This is 21 hours plus 20 minutes, so 21.34 hours of data, LRGB, 150 luminance frames, 50 of each color channel. So let's take a look at our image, shall we? So the galaxy turned out okay. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Getting some of the faint detail out here. The background isn't the best. I've definitely done better in terms of the background of an image. But at the same time, I'm definitely happy with how this one turned out. But yeah, that's all I got for you today. I'll let you guys go now. Alright, see you later.